Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela and we are the Castros.
Happy Thursday morning sa atin lahat. And ito, macaroni.
Soup. Macaroni soup, sopas, masarap sa medyo makulimlim na umaga.
Oo,
Then we have bread also.
Cheese bread ata yan.
Ubus mo na yun sa'yo agad. Ano ba naman yan?
Nagutom ako maaga tayo gumising ngayon Okay, pero welcome back mga branchies to our countdown. Of course, tignan natin kung ano yung mga nasa top 10 natin. Alam naman natin several na balita na
no show, si VP Sara sa NBI. Ano pa ba? Yung Holiday Rush.
Buhay pa ang Lasal.
Oo, kagabi. Grabe. Nakakakaba yung laro na yun, ha?
Okay. Anyway, pag-usapan pa natin yan because we're serving you news in a countdown.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is Brunch.
Starting our countdown with the UAAP Men's Basketball Finals. It's not yet over for the De La Salle Green Archers after they narrowly won Game 2 against the UP Fighting Maroons yesterday, 76-75. It was a back-and-forth affair between Taft University and Diliman University. UP was leading in the third quarter thanks to JD Kagulangan's consecutive triples. However, two-time MVP Kevin Kiambao came to the rescue in the game's final 2 minutes and sealed the win for LaSalle. KQ led the Green Archers with 22 points. The Green Archers and the Fighting Maroons will face again on Sunday at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. Actually, with last 5 minutes, 4 minutes lamang ang UP ng 7. So, kala natin tapos na lahat. Pero with several defensive stops and 2 back-to-back triples ni Kevin Kiambao, biglang back and forth na 1-point lead between UP and LaSalle. And then UP, kay Brown, he missed, I think, 4 consecutive free throws. Tapos si Phillips sa si Kiambao missed free throws as well.
Siguro kasi pressured na sila nun eh. Feeling ko kabang-kaba na sila. So
napako
plus
yung
the crowd
score.
pa.
Oo.
It's also a factor.
With last few seconds sa fourth quarter, UP had the ball kasi nagminti si Kiambao ng free throw niya, di ba? Nagminti si Kiambao. Tapos UP had a chance to score. Ano naman sila, they were able to take a shot. Pero
pinapanood natin yan dito sa baba, di ba sa TV5?
Hindi pumasok. Si Kagulangan ng UP is from, is actually a Green Archer. He's a LaSalle Green Archer. He's a greenie. He's from LaSalle Green Hills. Siya yung kinikwento ni Mio na dumadalaw lagi sa campus nila.
Actually, to the point nga, di ba tayo doon sa nanonood tayo, kasama natin iba pang mga anchor sa baba. Parang naisip nila, sige nga mag-game 3 na lang para mas masaya. Pero so, in essence, ayan nga, magkakaroon ng game 3.
Iniiwasan kasi ng UP na magkaroon ng game 3 because parang
yung momentum kasi.
Tsaka may curse daw sila ang UP pag hindi nila natatapos kaagad na lalaglag lagi sa final game. Pero hindi pa naman tapos yan. Pero ito ang supposedly maiden final season ni KQ because he's going to Korea right after the finals ends.
Tuesday na, di ba? Sabi mo sa akin.
Tuesday, Wednesday. Basta right after daw, he takes a flight daw to Korea to start his career sa pro leagues ng Korean League.
I want to watch sa Araneta. Kaso wala na yatang ticket eh.
Karamihan kasi ng ticket, naka-block na yan for the schools involved. Madami yan eh. Pero good luck sa LaSalle Green Archers, the LSU, and sa UP. May the best team win for this year. May next year pa naman sa mga matatalo.
Alright, let's continue with our countdown. Next in our countdown, the MMDA says the peak of the holiday rush is already being experienced along major thoroughfares. Around 470,000 vehicles are plying EDSA alone daily. This could further increase as more of the public to flock to shopping malls this week. To ease holiday traffic, the MMDA deployed additional personnel to manage traffic flow. It is also conducting regular clearing operations along Mabuhay lanes. Yesterday we experienced
that's from Commonwealth.
Holiday rush.
From Commonwealth all the way to here sa Mandaluyong. 2 hours, almost
Cubao muna, 1.5 hours.
Commonwealth all the way to Mandaluyong, 2 hours, 30 minutes. Cubao itself, from East Avenue to past P. Tuason. 1.5 hour na halos ang biyahe.
Nalituloy tayo kahapon.
Kikita mo ilang kilometers lang yun. Di ba? I mean, roughly about a 3-kilometer drive sa Cubao.
Yeah, because when we drive from our house to here sa Mandaluyong on a regular day kapag madaling araw, diba?
20-30
minutes we're here.
Kasi that's only 24 kilometers. So in essence, if you're traveling 60 kilometers an hour, roughly about 30 to 35 minutes. Pero 2 hours and 30
Grabe.
minutes.
So ramdam na yan.
Wow.
And then baka dumoble pa yan dahil nga next week, mas holiday rush pa dahil next week yung iba, mas makukuha nila yung bonus nila, yung 13th month nila. So may pera na para makapag-shopping.
Although bawal nga daw ang mall wild sale, ang problema, may mga sale yung mga stores individually, sabay-sabay din. So yung mga tao...
At saka yun nga yung sabay-sabay na halos magkakaroon sila ng pera or that's the only time that they have opportunity to shop. Sabay-sabay yan talaga.
Tsaka yung mga ibang mga teenager naghihintay ng Christmas break. Yung Christmas break nila, tapos yung lalabasan na sila. Iba, may break na from work starting next week.
Yes.
O yan, yan na.
Asahan na lang natin yan. Magpasensya na lang tayo sa isa't isa. Total, it's Christmas.
Tsaka wag magpatayan sa parking, ha? Kasi good vibes lang dapat ang Christmas, di ba? Exactly. Relax lang tayo. Be happy, smile, and be kind. Sige, let's move on. Ranking in the 8th spot is about the war on drugs. A report penned by international drug advocates stated that the Philippines is one of the countries that failed to handle its drug use concerns. Jovi Francisco with the report.
The Philippines figured prominently in a report that showed failure handling drug use concerns in several territories worldwide. Aside from the cover page that shows a photo of a drug raid in Taguig City, the report highlights what they call a problematic war on drugs, especially during the Duterte administration. Aside from extrajudicial killings, it stated that as of September 2022, 81,000 people are detained because of drug-related offenses, comprising 90% of the total number of drug offenders awaiting trial in overcrowded detention facilities, a system that they believe violates human rights and slows down the justice system. There's also a special portion that zeroes in on the impact of the Duterte administration's war on drugs among children. Data showed 150 kids were direct victims or killed during drug raids. Those who survived after seeing their parents arrested or killed remain traumatized. The former president recently attended a congressional hearing about his war on drugs.
Talagang papasok ako because I gave the order. So in a sense, I take full responsibility if there is any. Akin yan. And should I be included in the charge or charges? Yes.
The report, Beyond Punishment from Criminal Justice Responses to Drug Policy Reforms, was penned by 28 international drug policy advocates led by former heads of state. The Global Commission on Drug Policy underscores the rise in drug overdose deaths, emergence of more dangerous drug variants, increase in violence, and a systemic disrespect to human rights. All these despite harsh laws and the existence of several iterations of the war on drugs all over the world. The panel is calling for a re-evaluation of the global drug response, pushing for drug policies that prioritize public health and programs that respect human rights. Jovi Francisco, We Are One News.
Well, of course, we understand yung goal ni PRRD to combat drugs. Diba? You need to be harsh kasi on yung mga those who peddle drugs. Ang problema, hindi naisip nila na at that time, corruption at hindi natin sinasabi lahat ng police ay corrupt. But there were several officers involved in the drug trade, di ba? So, syempre, nung si PRRD was going to clean up already the entire system, natakot yung mga ibang police, pinagdadampot nila yung mga ibang asset, yung mga ibang witness. Kasi baka sila ang maturo, yari sila kay PRRD eh. So, that's what happened, di ba? So, it wasn't, yun ang sinasabi ng iba, it wasn't carefully thought of. It wasn't carefully planned. Plus, mas madaming bumagsak na peddler on the street kaysa sa yung
mga big fish, yung mga real suppliers.
Kahit yung middlemen hindi rin bihira daw matamaan, in other words, bihirang mahuli.
Yung mga napagkakamalan lang eh. 'Di ba? Minsan di naman talaga sila yung mga drug users na pagkamalan lang. 'Di ba? One case example is Kian De Los Santos.
Ang problema kasi, yung mga barangay captain, minsan sila nagsasubmit ng list because sabi ni PRRD, sila ang nakakaalam na nangyari sa barangay. Totoo yun. Ang problema yung naging issue nila before, may ibang barangay captain, may kaaway sa barangay, sinama yung listahan ng kaaway sa drug list. O di, lintik na, nahuli. Kahit hindi totoo.
Yung lista.
Oo. Wala silang due process, kumbaga, na nabigay sa kanila.
Yan, isa yan sa mga nakilala sa atin yung handling ng drug war dito.
Drug war.
Diba? Tapos nagkaroon pa tayo ng book, diba?
Yeah.
Yung written by Patricia Evangelista. Some people need killing. Yan din binasa, diba? Binasa nila Barack Obama and other known personalities.
That's why this admin is trying a different approach supposedly, no, na by targeting volume instead of personalities. Pero let's see, it's still a big problem in this country.
Yes, hindi naman natin sinasabi walang droga dito. There is talaga.
Tsaka all over the world actually, it's a big problem which has to be solved. But kahit how much you clean up in your own country, if the sources from Colombia or from whenever they are, if the sources aren't eradicated, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yan.
Yung meron pa tayong mga na-report dito na bigla nilang lumulutang from mga sa dagat.
Yeah.
Yung mga...
That's how they drop it. If you watch the movie kay Tom Cruise, yung American Made, ganun
parang
yan.
ganun diba?
Tapos lastly before we go, sabi nga nila, alam naman ng mga iba kung sino daw yung mga cartel king, mga drug cartel kingpin bakit hindi na hulihin or i-eliminate mo? Remember anong sinabi ng isang taga-US, you kill the king, several queens come out. In other words, madaming papalit. Kaya useless.
Yep. All right, coming up. The BICAM committee has approved the final version of the 2025 budget proposal. What agencies received additional funds?
And Vice President snubbed the National Bureau of Investigation again. Now, what is her reason this time?
Alam na natin. But we are just getting started, mga kapatid. More of our top 10 news when brunch returns. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching Brunch here on One News, December 12.
December 12.
12 pala, pinaalala sa akin ni Summer Cabrera sa YouTube. Sabi niya, good morning mga Lodi Cakes, madaming puyat kagabi. 12-12. Mga nag-add to cart na.
Mga bonus. Kung may bonus kayo, ubos na lahat yan sa 12-12.
Si Mark Santiago, UP Fight. Good morning, sabi niya. Oo. Si Geraldine Valdesao, ano pangalan? Geraldine Balolo.
Geraldine Balolo. Puntahan
Johnny Valdesoto.
Puntahan natin sa Facebook natin. Ito, si Mina Banyales. Good morning daw. Ito, Jessie Mendez family natin. Si Jennifer Rico. Amen, sabi niya. Sam Pokemon Go, lazy Thursday daw. Na-late daw ang gising ni Sam Pokemon Go. Tapos si Migs Ebron, hello daw. Inulit pa daw ni Mina Benyales. Dito po daw sa Nichols area. Lagi daw traffic. Buong Metro Manila na ata traffic
Kapag nag-traffic report ka niyan. Traffic po sa buong Metro Manila.
Ganun na lang. Hindi, dapat rin i-report lang pag walang traffic.
Oo nga.
Kasi kakaiba yun.
Batiin ko na din si Tita Daisy, Tito Naldi, Tito Nito nanonood sa atin. Tita Esther Abaya, VJ, at saka Ate Ringo. Yan.
Good morning sa inyong lahat. Alright, let's move on to our countdown.
Wait lang, si Ralph Domingo, si Migs Ebron, Alex Fuentes.
Sino nag-birthday? Si Migs
si Sam Pokemon,
si Ralph.
Si Ralph, tsaka si Gary Field. Huwag makalimutan yung mga usual
Oo
suspects
naman. Good morning guys, mga brunchies. Let's move on.
Now, on our 7th spot, Pogo Hubs have until the end of the month to cease operations. Out of 60 registered Pogos, only 7 remain operational as of the moment. From over 353,000 total number of Pogo workers, only 7,000 are still in the Philippines. Authorities, however, are now preparing to combat possible guerrilla operations. Recall that the order to shut down all Pogos by December came from President Bongbong Marcos. Nalalapit na yung kanilang deadline na sinabi ni PBBM during the SONA noong July. All Pogos are out by December. So these are yung mga Pogo workers na I think we can call them documented. Diba? Kasi meron pang ibang mga Pogo workers na hindi naman din documented. But they were given a chance, diba, na palitan yung kanilang visa, change their visa from working to tourist, tapos alis na sila.
You have a number of days to leave. Ang problema kasi itong mga POGO, yung mga legal nag-iwan sila ng mga equipment, pati yung illegal.
Yes.
Ang daming equipment kasi pag nag-shutdown, hindi man nila pwede dalhin, no? So, anong nangyari, yung mga guerrilla operations na tinatawag, mga ibang Pinoy ito, Pinoy daw nagsimula. They took some equipment into Metro Manila. Tapos maliliit na faction sila, kanya-kanyang racket sila, kanya-kanyang business. Ang kwento na nga daw ng mga ibang Grab rider, minsan pag nagde-deliver sila ng food sa mga condo units, may mga PC daw, tsaka mga troll farming equipment na meron daw nakikita nila sa iba. Tapos madaming cellphone daw na nakakabit. So, sana naman hindi mangyari ito because imbis na control, mas naging out of control ata yung situation. Nahihirapan ang authorities natin.
Basta sabi, malinaw, all POGOs and yung mga IGL, out na yan dito by December. Yung isang usapin din dyan, yung mga BPOs na nagkikater ng mga administrative work sa mga gambling or casinos. Like yung mga MGM, ganyan. Pero sinasabi naman nila, baka yun can stay.
Dapat kasi
because hindi naman sila, ang sinabi naman dun sa EO ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, mga gambling.
Offshore gambling.
Yes.
For example, sa MGM Grand Casino sa Las Vegas, may naka-outsource sila dito, administrative work. In other words, yung payroll, HR concerns nila sa mga empleyado sa Las Vegas, dito sinasalo sa Philippines.
Walang gambling.
That's not gambling. Administrative work po yan. So technically dapat hindi po kasama yan.
Yes.
It's just a BPO, a back-end office operation catering to a company that has gambling. Ganun lang naman yan.
Ang bawal is yung gambling.
Yung actual gambling online.
Yung POGO tsaka yung mga IGL. At isa pang tinitingnan din nilang issue dyan, yung mga sa CESA daw, yung Cagayan Economic Authority.
Kanila inrelay yung area.
Oo, na meron din pala silang authority na to issue mga licenses, gambling licenses. So kasama daw ba yan doon sa mga ibaba?
Because that's an economic zone that's supposed to be autonomous from the other laws here.
So, kaya nga yung pinopoint out nila. So what's going to happen? Diba?
Wala pa naman kasi EO kasi to
Yes.
Well, and it's not an actually law. Di ba kaya sinasabi ng Congress and Senate, gawa na tayo ng batas.
Para whoever, kung sino man yung umupo na next administration, di ba, alam natin na batas ito ba? Walang
tsaka usually kasi ang EO subject for interpretation pa yan Pag batas na yan
And what we also need to know also, tsaka abangan natin, dapat updated din tayo dito, dapat maging aware tayo, yung mga kakasuhan, di ba, dito sa POGO. Kasi, okay, papadeport, yung mga dapat ipadeport, sasarado, lahat ng mga dapat isarado, pero yung mga accountability, yan ay dapat natin abangan at tutukan natin rather, no? Kasi kailangan natin malaman kung sino talaga yung, alam mo na yung nag-push dito, nagpalaganap, tapos lahat ng mga illegal na activities na ginagawa dito, di ba? Yung pati prostitution, torture, di ba?
Meron nga yung
kidnapping.
Hospital, unlicensed hospital for POGO workers.
Marami kay mga illegal activities yung mga kumabit, di ba, sa likod ng POGO. So, we also need to take note of that at makita natin, maging aware tayo, updated dun sa mga gagawin nila, mga kakasuhan na mga personalities at that. Alright, let's continue with our countdown.
Settling at the sixth spot is about Mary Jane Veloso. Makabayan Bloc has filed a House resolution urging the government to grant the OFW an executive clemency. In a statement, Makabayan argued that a drug convict in Indonesia is a victim of human trafficking. Veloso is scheduled to go home this month after she was detained in Indonesia for 14 years. The Indonesian government expects the Philippines to continue her sentence once she goes back here. President Bongbong Marcos previously said that everything is now on the table for Veloso, including a possible clemency for her.
Abangan na lang muna natin yung pagdating niya dito and then from there we move forward.
But I think hindi naman agad-agad out of respect for the Indonesian government, PBBM will still wait options, di ba? And then siguro they're going to take a look at her behavior muna. Kung good behavior pa rin siya na tuloy-tuloy, di possible. Ang clemency kasi is based on behavior as well.
Yes, oo. Kaya nga, di ba? So abangan na lang din natin. Sabi naman ni Mary Jane Veloso, di ba, sa loob ng kulungan, paglipat niya dito, ay gagawin daw niya kung po pwede pagpapatuloy niya yung yung natutunan niya sa Indonesia, yung tie-dye, ibebenta dito. But most importantly, magkikita-kita sila.
At least productive siya.
Magkikita-kita sila ng pamilya. pamilya niya dito. Diba? O, nga pala, may mga nagme-message sa akin, ano daw itong kanakain natin? Sopas po.
Ako hindi.
Sopas at saka bread.
Mali yung word. Ano yung
ba?
kinain ko?
Siya, ano yung kinain niya. Tapos,
Sopas.
of course, si Mother Earth. Diba? Si Mama.
Oh.
Huwag natin kalimutan, nood yan sa atin
Ay,
lagi.
Mother
Every
Earth.
day, greet
Oo.
natin siya.
Mother Earth, sopas natin.
Fruit salad. Alright, let's continue with our countdown. Coming in at our top 5, the Bicameral Conference Committee approves the final version of the proposed 6.352 trillion pesos 2025 national budget. The measure retained the reduced 733 million peso budget for the Office of the Vice President. Members of the BICAM also agreed to continue allocations for the DSWD's ACAP, but was reduced to 26 billion from 39 billion pesos. Senate President Francis Escudero emphasized that this is the most important legislation passed annually by Congress. Oh, kasi without it, hindi makakatrabaho yung mga iba't ibang ahensya like DSWD, DPWH,
Historically naman,
Department of Education.
Pag hindi nagkaroon ng ng tawag dito ng agreement with regards to the budget, ang nangyayari is either you reenact the budget, meaning the same budget the previous year, or nagpa-partial government shutdown. In other words, yung mga government na basic services lang magpa-function like police, pero other agencies, usually sinasara muna yan until such time. Historically, nangyari naman yan. Mas lalo na sa US, madalas na nangyayari yan na partial shutdown ng government. Retain basic services lang. Pero mukhang at least ngayon, they're coming to an agreement about the budget. Pero may nag-abstain.
Oo, diba? Kasi dun sa BICAM nila kahapon, hindi pumunta, not present, si Senator Amy Marcos, si Senator Bongo, yan ay known Duterte allies. Kasi sabi nga natin, ni-retain nila yung 733 million. Di ba, na-slash ng 1 billion sa hinihingi ni OVP. Ang tugon naman ng mga sa Senate dyan, sinabi naman niya sa Congress na kung magkano lang yung ibibigay sa kanya.
Pwede.
Yun na lang, di na naman na niya justify yun, di ba? Late na lang niya sinabi sa Senate na baka mawala ng trabaho, yung ilang 200 employees ng OVP pag na-slash yung budget, etc. So, ang dumating lang doon na known Duterte ally ay si Senator Bato de la Rosa, which is late pa daw, tapos maaga din siyang umalis kasi ayaw nga daw, he refused to sign yung BICAM niya sa proposed national budget.
Pero may quorum naman
gusto
sila.
Niya, masama daw yung loob niya kasi gusto nga niya ibigyan, wag daw i-slash yung budget ni OVP.
May kawawa naman daw si OVP.
Oo, yun yung nangyari. But yung isang I was reading about it kasi syempre inisa-isa yan, and according to our constitution, ang DepEd dapat talaga malaki ang budget. Yan, di ba?
Very important ang DepEd.
Isa yan sa mga dapat na mataas ang budget. Tapos yung ayuda, very controversial. Yung ACAP, ayuda para sa Kapos-ang Kita program, ay nagkasundo ang Senate at Congress na ituloy ito because naging controversial ito. Diego, di ba you were
overlapping
talking
kasi
about
ang
this?
ACAP at AIX na program, parang hindi defined, nalito ang mga senators at congressmen kung ano ba ang difference ng mga beneficiaries nitong dalawa. So at least medyo nalinawan sila ng konti. Pero some still feel na yung ACAP tsaka yung AIX program, nag-overlap. Nag-overlap. Ang suggestion kasi ng iba sana, tanggalin nyo yung isang ayuda program, yung amount na binibigay nyo sa isang ayuda program, ilagay nyo na lang dito, palakihin na lang natin yung isang programa.
Nakikita nila yan na another, pwedeng way of corruption, pork barrel din. Tapos, sa Senate, ang kanilang ACAP will be 5 billion. House will be 21 billion yung kanilang ACAP.
Malaki pa.
Malaki malaki.
Malaki ang pag-uusapan pa nila.
Ang isang nakita ko rin dito na pinag-uusapan na hindi rin nagkasundo, pero syempre, alam mo naman, majority wins dito, di ba? Yung tungkol sa PhilHealth. Zinero out nila, walang subsidy ngayong taon ng PhilHealth. Dahil sabi nila, ang PhilHealth failed to use yung kanilang mga budget dahil nga dito, di ba yung PhilHealth transfer, yung reserve.
Underspending sila.
Reserve fund. So, ang kino-question naman ni Senator J.V. Ejercito, yung legality. Kasi by removing the, yung subsidy o yung funding, nasa law natin yun na dapat binibigyan sila. And ang sinasabi ni Senator Risa Ontiveros, karapatan ng mga kababayan natin na bayaran, di ba, ng gobyerno under sin tax law, universal healthcare law. At saka sabi niya, yung reserve fund naman na pinag-aawayan ngayon dyan sa PhilHealth, ay hindi naman yun pwede gamitin for the indirect contributors premium.
Oo.
Contributors premium. Kasi yung reserve ay pang emergency lang for future financial obligations.
Tsaka karamihan ng pera sa reserve fund kasi galing sa investments ng ano eh. Hindi, aside from underspending, may mga agencies like PhilHealth and SSS, meron silang portfolio investments where they invest in several companies. Yung mga kinita nila, itong mga sinasabing natitirang funds, are mostly also from dividends from income.
Yes.
Aside from underspending So, kaya nga yung pag-allocate nito within the agency has to go to different like yung sinasabi mo, emergency funds,
Yes.
it cannot be added on to a premium
Hindi
package.
pwede. Kasi
Because
may ibang...
premium is line item yun eh.
Di ba alam natin baka mga technical malversation, yung mga... itong budget to ay para dito sa isang budget na to. Hindi po pwedeng kukunin si budget A tapos ilalagay sa...
Kahit hindi ka
line
nagnakaw, kung ikaw head ng agency at linipat mo yung budget sa isa, kahit sabihin mo ginamit sa tama, pero ginamit sa tamang paraan, hindi ninakaw, pero linipat mo sa hindi dapat, that's technical malversation, pwede kang makasuhan.
Pero yun nga, so yun yung sinasabi, yung point nila, Senator J.V. Ejercito, baka ma-question nga yung legality nung ginawa doon sa proposed budget na yon at saka yung kay Senator Risa Ontiveros. Sila yung dalawa na nakita doon na nag-oppose doon sa PhilHealth na wala nang subsidy.
Problema, baka maubusan tayo na sabihin sa PhilHealth. PhilHealth na pala ito. Ito on the fourth spot is PhilHealth, ha?
Ay, ito pala yun.
Ito pala yun. Ito, as we were talking about a while ago with Angel, no, the state health insurer will be getting zero subsidy for 2025 due to its whopping 600 billion peso reserve funds. Senate Committee on Finance Chairman Grace Poe said PhilHealth's budget was among the very contentious provisions of the 2025 budget bill. The bicameral conference committee eventually decided against providing subsidy for PhilHealth and insisted the agency should use its reserve funds first. Senators J.V. Ejercito and Risa Ontiveros expressed concerns about this. Ejercito said it might lead to a legal issue. Meanwhile, Ontiveros argued that a zero subsidy for PhilHealth is illegal and unconstitutional.
So, ayun na nga, yun na nga yung sinasabi natin dito.
Kasi ang stand ng Senate nga is ubusin nyo muna to before we give you. Pero ang stand ng iba is bigyan nyo ng budget pa rin, yung subsidy nila. Huwag nyo i-zero out, give it to them. Pero isoli mo yung sa proper channel, ha? Pending yung mga issues nito. Isoli nyo yung dividends na yun or yung 600 reserve fund, isoli nyo sa kung saan dapat pumunta.
At saka, tuloy lang yung program, di ba? Supposedly, sabi nila, itong yung na-save ng PhilHealth na yung isang tranche na i-transfer na sa National Treasury, back to the National Treasury.
Back to the National Treasury.
Gawin nila, expand pa nga daw nila. Gumawa pa sila ng program for related to PhilHealth.
Correct. Kasi kung i-reserve fund, bawal gamitin, return it to the Treasury, reallocate mo sa...
Bawal nga i-return sa Treasury yan eh. Yun yung pinag-aawayan sa korte. Yun yung pina-TRO. Ang sinasabi nila, i-TRO nyo yan kasi bakit nyo ibabalik sa National Treasury? Ang daming ang utang ng PhilHealth sa mga ospital. Tapos yung mga programs or packages, health packages for indigents, PWD, etc. kulang din. Yun yung
pero yung
kanilang
600 billion peso, malaki yun. Sayang naman if you can't use it sa mga packages.
Yun nga, that's their
it's because, di ba, just a few years ago, panahon ng even entering PRRD sa admin, nagkakaroon ng issue about the lifespan of PhilHealth. Na sinasabi nila maiksi na lang ang lifespan ng PhilHealth. Sa pondo ngayon, ang problema ng PhilHealth, may excess funds sila.
Oo, tsaka may mga naging
which hindi pwede gamitin pala sa packages. Paano ba yung excess funds mo?
Hindi, gusto nga nila gamitin
Kaya
sa packages.
Nga, pero hindi nga pwede gamitin. Kasi
gusto nila gamitin sa packages, pero ang ginawa kasi ng PhilHealth, binalik nila supposedly sa National Treasury, which is yun yung sinastop na yun sa korte.
Pero ngayon naka-define, sa emergency funds mo lang pwede gamitin.
Ewan ko sa kanila. Pero yun na nga, isa din sa naging issue yan, ilang years ago yung di ba, pagbibigay ng bonuses.
Yeah,
diba,
sa board of directors.
Board of directors. So, ayan, dapat talaga ayusin upuan yung PhilHealth kasi 'di ba we have reports also na pinapakita na parang nagkaroon ng 300,000 na bill sa ospital, tapos ang nabigay lang ang nakuha lang niya sa PhilHealth after years of contributing is contribution ay 30,000 only.
Kasi tali ang packages.
Yes, oo. So yun dapat upuan nila para maayos. Alright, so yan yung usapin ng budget natin sa ating dalawang kasama sa top natin, no? Tama ba? 4 and 5.
4 and 5. Ito next, medyo maano tong issue na rin to. Medyo mabigat to.
On our top 3 is Mayor Marcy Teodoro. The Marikina City Mayor says his election disqualification is politically motivated. In an interview with The Big Story, Teodoro said he has yet to receive a copy of the COMELEC ruling, but he confirmed that he plans to file a motion for reconsideration. The COMELEC's First Division canceled Teodoro's certificate of candidacy for the city's 1st District Representative over material misrepresentation. The poll body said he failed to establish that he is a resident of the district at least 1 year before the midterm elections.
Really part of the political maneuvering, especially in local elections like this or in congressional elections. Ang intention marahil talaga ay politika. So it's not a surprise on my part. I'm not surprised, really.
Well, medyo
Kasi may yung
nakakagulat.
record daw doon, parang by Feb 2024, he filed for District 2 ng residency.
Yes.
Tapos come September, 2024, sorry. Tapos September, bumalik siya sa District 1 kasi sabi nung nag-file ng misrepresentation against him, ay nag-flip-flop siya because naisip niya hindi siya winnable sa District 2.
So,
Sa District 1, ang kalaban niya si,
Yeah.
si
Pimentel.
Coco Pimentel.
Oo.
So, yun yung nakita nilang material misrepresentation on his side.
Kasi what if may bahay siya sa 1 and 2?
Ayun na nga di ba?
Saka,
Basta our constitution states dapat may 1-year residence ka doon sa bahay na yon, doon sa lugar na yon before ka mag-file ng election.
Actually,
at least 1 year.
Daming taga Marikina na nagulat. It's because, they all like what he did for Marikina. Di ba? Gumanda ang flow ng Marikina River, yung dredging projects, yung traffic problems, na ease ng konti, rerouting, response sa mga bagyo, maganda daw.
I was reading about him nga na pinapakita na since 1992, he was undefeated sa kanyang political career, no? Nagsimula siya bilang councilor and then 2016 naging siya mayor ng Marikina, but of course this year tapos na yung term limit niya, 'di ba? Natapos niya 'yon, kaya siya kakandidato. Naging din naman siya lawmaker nung anong year 'yun, hindi ko makita. Basta naging lawmaker
alam
din
natin
siya.
lahat yung Teodoro family and si Fernando.
2007 to 2016 naging Marikina's first district lawmaker siya.
Yan, si Teodoro and so I was saying Fernando family, mga mabibigat na names sa Marikina.
Sa Marikina.
Marikina politics and Pimentel as well. Oo.
So, meron naman siyang option, tulad ng sinabi naman din natin sa report, to file a motion for reconsideration. Tapos pwede rin niya ilapit sa Supreme Court. Ang problema niyan kasi, alam ko, ang sabi ng COMELEC, December, 'di ba? Ang nila printing ng ballots.
Printing ng ballots.
Paano 'yon? So kailangan yung decision ng
parang I think
motion nila at saka tapos kung iaakit niya pa, kunyari na-deny yung motion niya, tapos iakit niya sa Supreme Court, dapat may decision na yun bago makapag-print,
or
diba?
hindi, parang may sinabi si chairman noon na the name remains on the ballot, pero
kahit may mga paano yun?
magiging invalid. Invalid option. I'm not sure, pero he was talking about an issue na pwede kasi ma-disqualify ka, matanggal ka right after nag-printing. So mayroong protocol sa ganun. May protocol sa ganun.
Sige, alamin natin yan. But for the meantime,
don't go away. We're not done yet. May dalawa pa tayo. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Sa mga ka-brunchies natin watching, thank you for joining us.
Mother Earth, don't forget.
The Mother Earth, of course. We're down to our top 2, ha? Ano kaya ang nasa top 2 natin, mga guys? Anong hula nyo? Sige, let's go. Going straight up to our top 2, the House Committee on Good Government files 2 bills in relation to confidential funds. The first one aims to clearly define agencies entitled to confidential funds. These are agencies directly involved in national security, peace and order, and intelligence gathering.
We already have the crimes to penalize. The problem is we can't really pinpoint the liability.
Now, the second one seeks to tighten the requirements for all appointed special disbursing officers. They have to be permanent employees with educational background in accounting, auditing, or finance.
Kaya po namin na binigyan ng mabigat na para maiwasan yung pagkukuntsabahan ng head of agency at saka ng SDO.
Well, welcome development ito. Dapat naman talaga yung disbursing officer has have a background in all of those na hindi lang security officer. Kasi pondo ng bayan tong pinag-uusapan natin. Tapos yung sinasabi niya about matagal na sinasabi ng mga tao to. Pag confidential funds or intelligence funds, bakit may mga agencies not involved in these operations na bibigyan ng funds for these purposes? Like at that time, DepEd. Ano kinalaman
kasi daw may insurgencies, meron daw mga nire-recruit na mga kabataan.
Well, that's not the task of DepEd then. That's the task of ang intelligence agencies natin. The PNP, have the military, di ba?
So, yun nga, kasi dun sa upon their investigation, based dun sa kanilang investigation nga dyan, ay nakita nila, di ba, dun sa Special Disbursement Officer.
Yeah, security officer.
Yung, instead sa kanya ipinabigay, hinawakan, di ba, yung kay La Chica at saka kay Colonel Dennis Nolasco, yung pera galing sa confidential. Acosta admitted during turning over 125 million cash every quarter without proper documentation to Colonel Raymond Dante La Chica. And similar confession by Fajarda in giving large sums to DepEd Security Head Colonel Dennis Nolasco. Kaya yung sinasabi din nila, di ba, of course, si Congresswoman Franz Castro, banggit din niya yan na bakit tinapos agad ng Congress yung hearing dito.
Yes, oo.
When in fact, hindi pa natin nahimay yung tungkol kila Nolasco, kila La Chica, tas yung kila Acosta, di ba, yung pagbibigay.
Sabi daw,
Tsaka hindi na isa-isa yung mga acknowledgement receipt, no?
Sabi daw, right after yung fellowship, biglang nag-stop yung
Oo, di ba?
Quadcom hearing. Wala naman nakilalaman daw yun, pero siyempre, malilikot ang isip. You can't help but yun ang nila.
Totoo.
Theory nila.
So, yun nga, hindi pa rin na isa-isa din yung mga nasa acknowledgement receipts. Kasi we've seen some reports also or columns na sinasabi doon na hindi lang Kokoy Villamin, hindi lang Mary Grace Piatos.
CP McDonald ba?
Oo, may ganun, may tempura, may uwishi din ng mga nakasign. So, ang sinasabi naman ni Vice President Sara Duterte, maiga na yan. Di ba, mag-file sila ng impeachment case against me, blah, 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 para mas ma-explain daw niya yung side niya. And hindi yata daw nila alam paano daw mag-operate ng confidential funds. Pero, di ba, on the other side of the fence naman, sinasabi nila, according sa 2015 na GAA, General Appropriations Act, dapat may physical plan ka doon sa confidential. Hindi naman basta-basta na...
You can just take the money and spend it.
Oo. Pero we get it naman na kailangan, kaya nga confidential di ba? Na hindi dapat nalalaman ng kung sino-sino. Pero tingnan natin doon sa magiging explanation niya dyan. But let's continue with our countdown. Emerging back to the top spot is Vice President Sara Duterte. Vice President snubbed the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI, again yesterday and insisted the investigation was already unfair to her. She also expressed no regrets in telling her plans against President Bongbong Marcos in case she gets killed. Here's a report.
Vice President Sara Duterte was seen eating and mingling with members of the media yesterday. She chose to join them in a Thanksgiving party instead of appearing at the office of the National Bureau of Investigation, or NBI. She previously asked the NBI to reschedule her appointment after skipping their initial November 29 meeting. The NBI previously filed a subpoena against the Vice President for her supposed threats against President Bongbong Marcos, First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, and House Speaker Martin Romualdez. VP Sara insisted her presence in the NBI was unnecessary to answer the subpoena. So instead, she sent her legal counsel to bring her affidavit containing her response.
That I have options not to go. I can send a letter, I can send a position paper, I can send an affidavit. And so we decided that a letter will be sent to the NBI.
VP Sara also believes the investigation is going to be unfair.
I don't think magiging patas itong investigasyon na ito. Dahil kung nakita nyo naman yung mensahe ng Pangulo na sinabi niya na ganitong kriminal gawain ay hindi ko palalampasin. So, makita na natin, the pronouncements of the President, meron ng bias doon. And kung nakita nyo rin yung interview ng isang USEC ng Department of Justice. Sinabi niya, a threat is a threat.
For their part, the NBI insisted the investigation is going to be fair for everyone. NBI Director Jaime Santiago said they are also going to investigate the alleged threats against VP Sara.
We are only mandated by our law, yung Republic Act 10867, na minamandate ang NBI to step in whenever there is threat to the President, Vice President, down sa Chief Justice. Pinipilit ko na ipaliwanag sa inyo, sa taong bayan, kay Vice President, that the investigation will be impartial.
Despite her absence, the NBI will continue its investigation into VP Sara's tirades against the first couple and Romualdez. VP Sara reiterated that she did not threaten the three and her statement was taken out of context. Despite this, she expressed no regret in revealing that she already contacted someone to kill the three in case she dies.
No, ma'am. Buti na yung alam nila, ma'am, na pag namatay ako, hindi talaga ako, I will not die in vain.
But the act of contracting a hitman is also a crime in itself. Soliciting. Diba? Soliciting for murder eh.
Wala. Conditional threat lang daw yung
No, it's still a threat, diba? Yun ang ano doon, there's no ifs and buts about it. Pero yung sabi kasi ng NBI, parang they were also saying, from the start pala, if you had no intention, sana yung unang patawag pa lang, nag-express ka na ng intent na hindi ka magpupunta. Oo, pero nagdili-dali daw, nagpaabot pa sa second hearing na nag-schedule kasi hindi naman daw niya alam, hindi rin pala pupunta ulit.
Una kasi 'di ba sinabi niya, hindi ako makakapunta because meron kaming hearing sa Congress.
Which is ano naman because
tapos ang ginawa ng Congress, sige, i-reschedule natin yung hearing para makapunta ka sa NBI.
Almost a week naman ang binigay na invite ng NBI eh. So alam ni VP Sara yun na may ganon yung hearing sa Congress, 'di ba? Bakit daw biglang sasabihin niya ng reasoning? Sabi ng Congress, well, excuse me, nag-advise kami na maaga. Sabi nila.
Pero hindi a week naman, hindi a week.
No,
parang that same ilang araw
No,
lang.
I'm saying NBI gave already the schedule for the hearing way in advance. May binigay silang date kay VP Sara.
Pero yun nga, sinasabi nga ng DOJ, 'di ba? Kasi sinasabi ni VP Sara, alam naman niya na magiging unfair naman na talaga sa kanya. Ang sinasabi ng DOJ also tsaka ng NBI, paano maging unfair? Binigyan naman siya ng leeway, binigyan siya ng pagkakataon nga na para makapag-explain. Diba? Hindi naman daw ito naibibigay sa ibang tao, pero as a courtesy nga sa Vice President, binigyan siya
and also daw, para maiwasan yung nangyari sa teacher, yung teacher. Yung sa 50 million na hindi nabigay ng opportunity to explain.
Hinuli na lang kaagad, di ba?
Pero na basura ng court.
Oo, tawag kinaladkad na lang siya na warrant of arrest. Pero ang sabi dito, the NBI is investigating whether Duterte committed grave threats under Article 282 of the Revised Penal Code in relation to Section 6 of the Cybercrime Prevention Act or yung violation daw Anti-Terrorism Act of 2020, RA 11479, which is sinasabi nga ni VP Sara, ay if you see doon sa Anti-Terrorism Act, aside from freezing of the assets, kapag yun ang sinampasa yung kaso, ay removal from office. So sabi niya, so umpisa pa lang, nakikita mo, gumagawa na sila ng paraan para talaga ang goal is to remove me from the office.
Well,
yun ang
sabi ni PBBM, hindi niya papayagan yung criminal acts mangyari. The word was criminal acts. So if you're responding to it, ibig sabihin, are you engaging in criminal acts? Kasi kung wala ka naman criminal acts, supposedly, huwag ka matakot, di ba? Go to the process. Senator Laila de Lima went through the process.
Oo.
Di ba?
Pero ayun nga, tingnan natin kasi ngayon medyo kalmado na no si Vice President. Napansin ko yung demeanor niya based dun sa mga kung ibabase mo dun sa November 2023, November 2023 niya na galit.
Scathing anger.
Oo, diba nung ano.
Like her dad, diba may mga moments na ganun, tapos minsan kakalma na lang bigla si PRRD.
Mas-masan na siya. Pero sabi nga dun sa letter, hindi affidavit yung pinadala niya, letter through her lawyer.
Manifestation lang.
Yung content and context of the November 23 press conference was publicly available. Available naman yan, pwede ninyong makita para malaman ninyo kung ano talaga yung konteksto ko doon. Adding that they were confident that the agency was investigating threats to their client's life with the same attention and vigor, sabi niya. So, ayun yung titignan din natin dyan kung paano, what happens now, diba? Moving
happens
forward.
next?
Kasi sabi naman ng NBI, we are still open if she wants to go, mag-explain. Pero I don't think she's gonna do that anymore. Kasi sinabihan naman na din siya ng lawyer niya na, you don't need to go naman just present a document.
What
blah, blah,
happens?
blah, blah, blah.
Impeachment and
So what happens now?
Impeachment and criminal complaint from the DOJ or no impeachment and criminal complaint?
So sinasabi ng NBI, may investigation silang gagawin at lalabas ito within the coming weeks. Kung ano yung kanilang recommendation, then they will file cases.
Recommendation sa DOJ.
Oo. Pero natuloy pa rin yung pagsamo ng NBI doon sa iba pa. Like yung mga vloggers, yung mga
those who attended the press con. Those who attended the press con.
Pero yung isang aspect naman sinasabi nila, bakit kailangan pa isamon yung mga journalists? That's their job. Pero ang sinasabi naman ng NBI, we're just going to ask you questions.
It's not naman summon na guilty.
It has nothing to do with your, di ba yung parang freedom of expression.
Malinaw naman someone as witnesses. They were witness to the event. So they're just going to validate para makorroborate yung nakita ng iba. Ano ang sinabi ni VP Sara? Yun lang naman.
So, yun. So, kahapon, mas ginusto na lang niya na makakapag-attend ng Thanksgiving party doon sa kasama yung mga media at nakapagpaunlak nga siya ng interview. Kesa nga pumunta doon sa NBI. So, yun. From then on, we will see kung ano pa yung mangyayari dahil magpapasko na yung usapin naman ng impeachment complaint against her. May mga usap-usapan na numbers game nga ito at hindi daw makukuha yung enough number from Congress alone para maka-move forward sa Senate.
And not enough time daw.
Tapos di ba may mga usap-usapan pa that there will be a third group. Sabi nila probably religious group na magpo-file ng tawag dito ng impeachment complaint pero until now wala pa tayong naririnig, 'di ba? Kung sino 'yon at kung itutuloy ba 'yon. But we will see. Abangan natin ang mga susunod na kabanata. Pero definitely, it's not gonna stop here.
Di pa tapos yan. Pasimula pa lang yan. Pero good vibes muna tayo. Bakit nga, Angel, tayo good vibes?
Yes! December 12, samahan po ang buong MVP group sa merriest celebration ngayong taon. Sabay-sabay po nating panoorin ng Merry ang Vibes ng Pasko, the MVP Group Christmas Party. Ayan po this is a two-part Christmas special directed by Mr. Johnny Manahan. Ngayon pong December 15 at 22 na po yan, 5:30 p.m. sa TV5, Sari-Sari, Buko, 1PH, with same-day catch-up sa RPTV. Ayan ulitin po natin. December 15, 5:30 yung part 1, December 22, 5:30 yung part 2, at mapapanood po yan sa Channel 5, of course, sa TV5, sa 1PH, sa Sari-Sari, Buko channels, at meron din same-day catch-up kung hindi kayo nakapanood ng 5:30, there's 10 p.m. sa RPTV naman. So tara na po, gawin nating merry ang vibes ng Pasko.
Yes, si Angel kasama dyan. Ano ba gagawin mo dyan, Angel?
Magpe-present daw kami doon sa Araneta.
Ano yung pre-present nyo?
Yung mga projects niya, Boss MVP.
Ayun. Now, this is directed by no less than Johnny Manahan, of course, of talent.
Mo yan, di ba?
Yeah, si Mr. M or Mr. Manahan, Johnny Manahan, siya nag-discover sa akin. He gave me my break in television. So malaki rin ang utang na loob ko kay Mr. M.
Tapos ang musical director niya, of course, Mr. Louie Ocampo.
Louie Ocampo made
legend in his craft.
Made the mga documentary ng mami ko. Mr. Louie Ocampo was the one who composed yung song sa isang docu niya. Si Louie Ocampo at si Ryan Cayabyab ang gumawa sa Kikli Report. So, sana na makita-kita si Mr. M mamaya. Mag-bless ako. Ninong, Pasko na, Ninong.
Ilang taon ka na?
Inaanak. Walang edad sa inaanak, Ninong.
So, basta anything that is happening around us right now, yung mga traffic, tas yung mga crimes, ano pa ba, yung mga holiday rush. Abangan niyo po dito yung lagi sa brunch. Like, meron tayong mga pa-top 10. Tama ba yung yung hula niyo, number 1 pa rin si
hindi natin napag-usapan si yung Pinoy na nanalo.
Ay, oh my gosh,
congratulations.
Sofronio, anong apelido niya?
Vasquez. Sofronio Vasquez.
Nanalo siya sa The Voice. Champion siya doon.
Mentor niya si Michael Bublé. Congratulations sa iyo, ha. We are so proud.
Alam mo, pinapanood ko yung video niya na kumakanta siya tapos in-announce yung kanyang yung pagkapanalo niya. Na ako nagugulat goosebumps ako talagang
Isipin mo.
feel mo kasi alam mo Pinoy eh.
Isipin mo, lagi siyang talo sa mga contest dito sa Pilipinas. Tapos cruise ship na lang siya. Tapos nag-decide siya from cruise ship na sumabak dito. Diba?
Alam
dito,
mo talaga.
natalo dito sa Pinas, sa home country niya. Pero nanalo sa US.
Dito kasi daw sa Pinas, ang daming
At
ganun
saka, mga
Doon sa, sa ibang bansa.
Isipin mo sino yung mga na-impress niya. No? Si Snoop Dogg,
si
Michael
Gwen
Bublé,
Stefani,
Gwen Stefani. Mga big names
Blake
lang naman.
Shelton.
O, sino ngayon yung mga hindi naniwala sa kanya dito? Ay,
Hindi, marami
nako.
iba lang talaga yung
Congratulations.
mga, perfect timing, 'di ba? Para sa kanya.
Sofranyo.
Ano mga pangalan
So,
nyo?
yan.
Sofranyo.
Sof. Congratulations, Sof
Vasquez.
sana
nakakatuwa
makausap ka
siya.
natin dito paminsan.
Andun pa siya, busy pa siya doon.
busy
At ang
pa
mentor
siya.
nga niya, nabanggit mo
Michael
kasi
Bublé.
Michael Bublé, alam mo naman, malapit din yan dito sa Pilipinas.
Oo.
Nakailang punta na yan dito.
Christmas siya, concerts and Valentines. Oo, yan.
Right. Congratulations, and we are very proud of you.
Paring Sof Vasquez.
Pilipinas represent talaga.
First in history, first Asian and Pinoy. All right, and that wraps up today's episode of Brunch.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.